Want to know where to start with horror books? Stay tuned and find out. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zach with Zacks Books, and welcome back to Zocktober. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about horror books for beginners. These are books that I believe someone new to the genre of horror can read and be introduced to the genre. Again, these are my opinions. It's my thoughts on why they would work. I will share that with you as well. We will link these down below. I've got 5 books. Don't forget to check out the stuff down below. Podcast, Danielle's channel, all the other stuff that's down there, Instagram, all that fun stuff. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into the list. Alright, first up is The Mist by Stephen King. So, I remember doing a Stephen King starter guide maybe 2 years ago, something like that. And I kind of had some books where I had mentioned, like, okay, maybe you can start here, you could start here. And I kind of have pondered it for a little bit, and I would say to start with a book that's maybe not a full-size, like, novel, like maybe like Carrie is something that could work as well. But in this case, I'm going to pick The Mist because it's a short story, but it's not like, I don't know, like The Raft is one of my favorite short stories in the same collection, but it's only like 5 pages. This, I think, is a book to, maybe get you started with King to where you're not reading a full-size novel yet. It's still, I think, over 100 pages. Yeah, it's like a 160, something like that, depending on the edition you have. But I would say this book is a good place to start. This is about a town in Maine, because that's where it always is. And basically what happens is this mist kind of comes over the town, and within the mist are dangerous creatures. And the main person we're following is David, and he is stuck in a supermarket with his son and a bunch of other survivors, and you're following this eerie, like, tale of survival in this place where the unknown is outside. There's, in the movie, I remember there's a lot of, like, religious aspects to it. I think there is in the book as well. I have not read this for a little bit, but I remember this being a very solid book, and with it not being a full-size book, I think this could be a good place to start with King if you're new to not just him, but the genre of horror in general. So, there you have The Mist by Stephen King. Alright, so I wanted to include at least one of my other all-time favorite authors currently, and the one I decided to go with mainly is Anya Ahlborn, The Shuttering. So this book is a 5-star book. The cover looks absolutely incredible. It was, let's see, I'd read Brother at this point, and then I think I read one more Anya Ahlborn before I read this one. I could be wrong. Check out Goodreads if you really care. But this book was very, very good. Our neighbors are putting up solar panels, so, like, bear with me if you hear a lot of weird noises. But this book was incredible. So you're following, I think it's a group of 4, and it's like near the end of winter, and they all want to have one last hoorah. They all go up to this cabin in the woods, of course, and basically these creatures come out and they start terrorizing them. And what honestly made this book so much better was the ending. The ending of this book was just like movie-esque, honestly. It was just so good. In the back of the book says they only come when it snows and nobody ever gets away. So I think it's a really good place to start with not just Anya Ahlborn, but with horror, because, like, you kind of get introduced to, like, the eerie vibes. I would say a couple of the characters are just, like, douches, and so a lot of them, I don't want to say deserve to die, but you get introduced to all this cool stuff with, like, it's got really good suspense to it. It's honestly it's really suspenseful, because you're trying to, like, basically you're, like, captivated with these people, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, who's going to make it? Are they going to make it? But yeah, no, it's a really solid story. I really enjoyed it, and again, like I said, the ending big twist. Kind of like the Mist movie, but not the book. So there you have the Shuttering on Osborne. Alright, so I wanted to include a YA in this category as well. I actually think there might be another one, but I'm not 100% sure if it is deemed YA or not. But I wanted to go with Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Caesar. So this book, there's a sequel that's out. I have read this book. I believe I gave it 4 stars or something like that. Basically, we're following this girl named Quinn. I want to say the town's name is Kettle Springs. And basically what happens is you gotta get like your basic classic or slasher type book here. Yeah, it's a really solid story. Basically, this town has got like its own mascot called Friendo, and it's a clown. And basically, all these high school kids, like, honestly, I don't remember what they even do, but they all are kind of like deemed like mean and like rude to people, and so like Friendo starts coming after them, like a legit Friendo. Again, one of the twists in the book I thought was really well done. I really enjoyed it. And again, it is like one of those classic slashers. It's like gave off those vibes like Jason Voorhees, like Friday the 13th and stuff like that. Like gave off those vibes. So I really enjoyed it. It was a really solid story. And again, I think I gave it 4 stars. I think Danielle gave it 4 stars as well. Could have been 5. I don't remember. Again, Goodreads. But there is a sequel. I do want to read the sequel. I really want to get to the sequel. But yeah, it's a really good book. Good place to start, especially if it's YA, because it's not quite as, let's say, as thoroughly detailed as a Stephen King novel would be. But it's still a good place to start, in my opinion. This is somewhat towards the book I'm writing is going to be YA-ish, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, very good book. Definitely would recommend Clown in Cornfield, Adam Caesar. Alright, next up is another one of my all-time favorite authors. I read a lot by her, and she's got a lot of good stuff. And that is Dead Lake by Darcy Coates. So the main reason why I'm putting this in here is because this is where I started with Darcy Coates, and it got me hooked pretty instantly. We're following this girl named Sam. She's going to stay at her uncle's cabin on a lakeside. And basically, right away, things kind of start going. Like, she's seeing stuff. Mainly a person. She's seeing a person. She goes on walks. And I think there's this one time where she sees this path and somebody's like, don't go down that path. It's not good. And, of course, goes down it. And she sees, people, or like this one guy. It's like a continuous person. She thinks she's being stalked. And like all this stuff starts happening, and it's really good and like suspenseful. It's a very solid story, and it's really well written. I really did enjoy this book. It was my first Darcy. I think I gave it 4 stars, and like I said, from then on, I just wanted to read everything Darcy Coates had. So there you have Dead Lake by Darcy Coates. Alright, so last up, I'm going to say, is a book that I had to reread to fully, I would say, enjoy it. And that's mainly because I think I was coming off of like a Stephen King novel that was really tough, and so I just didn't really think about it the first time around, but the second time around, I thought it was a lot better, and that is The Saturday Night Ghost Club by Craig Davidson. Technically, I don't know if his actual name is Craig Davidson or if it's Nick Cutter, but this is a Nick Cutter book, technically. A lot of people don't know that, I feel like, so I felt like I would share that. So this is I'll read what it says in the back here. An irresistible coming-of-age story about a group of misfit kids who spend an unforgettable summer investigating local ghost stories and urban legends. And I remember this book because you get told a story about like an accident that took place, and like the ghosts in that area might be still haunting it and stuff like that. And the plot twist is absolutely magnificent. And it's something I didn't really keep an eye out for towards the end. I didn't really think about it the first time I read it, and the second time I read it, Danielle kind of gave me some more insight with it, and I was like, okay, well, let me reread it now. And so I reread it, and it ended up being a 4-star versus the 3-star I originally gave it. Again, it's a very solid story. It's kind of like YA-ish. It's not fully like it. It's a decent story. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a coming of age story. It's really solid, and like the atmosphere is really cool. There are some funny scenes in here. There are some really serious scenes in here, and overall, it is a very solid book. And basically, it's a group of kids who investigate murders and stuff like that. So it's a really cool thing, and I would definitely say this is a good place to start with horror. So Saturday Night Ghost Club, Craig Davidson. Alright guys, so those are 5 books that I would say are a good place to start with the horror genre if you have not done so already. Keeping it relatively tame, obviously Stephen King, kind of hard to keep him tame. But I would definitely say they're all good places to start, and they're all really solid stories. So if you have any opinions or any thoughts, let me know in the comments down below. What are some horror recommendations you would say you would have for beginners? Also let me know in the comments down below. And also don't forget to check out the other stuff we have down below. We've got, again, podcast, Fango Books, Instagrams, Danielle's channel, all that stuff. And we have got the 4,000 subscriber giveaway still going on. Again, that was a video that I did with Danielle. So if you want to know the parameters and the rules, check out that video. And yeah, as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And we'll see you guys in tomorrow's episode of Zocktober. Later.